And a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Chatting. What? We chatting, that's right. Topics is tough, but we bonfire just chatting with the gang to the left and the right. True blue is hot like glue. Yes, we chatting it, chatting it, chat.
Let's pull the chat up. What's the word, y'all? This video is really for New Yorkers, specifically those New Yorkers who drive. So if that isn't you, keep scrolling. All right, now it's just the drivers and the New Yorkers here. I know we've been having a big discussion around congestion pricing lately. There's been this new toll that's been introduced, supposedly it's supposed to help MTA and everything like that. Now, you know, if anybody knows New York, there are people, there's like the general information, and then there's the insider information, what's really going on behind the scenes. And I was riding in a Lyft yesterday, and I was speaking to the Lyft driver, and they actually put me onto a conversation he had with someone who had a little inside knowledge. Everyone has been, the positioning in the media about this congestion pricing has been in order to support the MTA. However, it's been said that Uber and Lyft has done a lot of lobbying and paid millions of dollars to New York politicians in order to get this congestion pricing passed. Why? Because with this new pricing, right, it is more convenient for those drivers to take a Lyft, to take an Uber, or at the very least, by correlation, increases the probability of those people taking a Lyft or Uber, okay, versus driving their own cars and not only having to pay that high congestion pricing toll, but have to pay for parking, have to pay for anything else that comes across with like the expenses of the day. Now, some people, you'll hear this and you'll be like, that's a conspiracy theory, blah, 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 blah. But for the people who are really in the know that what we see in the news and what we see on the TVs is just the fluff. There are back seat, back alley, back room meetings that decide everything, okay? And it's usually paper that decides it. So when we're talking about politics, when we're talking about these policies that are getting passed, when we talk about Elon Musk, who is the richest person in the world, being a part of the government, it should be a lot more you should become a lot more aware of the damage that can be done when you understand that companies have been a part of the government for a very long time now. If you look at ALEC, okay, that is literally a bridging of commercial lobbyists, companies and their money, writing bills, writing legislation for the government, for Congress. Look this up, ALEC. I'm not making it up. So, I feel like this congestion pricing, this whole thing was just like a really good example of how things actually get done. And we think that, these town hall meetings and all this stuff decides it, but really this is just fluff. And until we decide to actually start to fund political parties on our own, solely on our own, okay, and support people who don't have institutional backings, okay, politicians or politics are always going to be about who has the bigger bag and who's willing to throw it. So don't be confused with all of this propaganda you see about people, fare evasion and all this BS, because that has nothing to do with why there's congestion pricing now. And it really, and the reality is of that, look it up. The MTA has a net profit. That means after the expenses, after all is said and done, they have a net profit in the billions. It's hard to find that information because they don't readily share it, okay? But they have a net profit in the billions. MTA is not struggling. So whatever they may be losing now, they're losing projected revenue. They are not actually in the red. Please be clear about this and educate yourself on the things that are going on around you beyond the surface level, beyond what is being put on the TV. Because if you're just relying on that information, you're only going to be spoon-fed what they want you to think.